basically what I'm going to start out with here is just an overview. So I found that most of you already know what FreeSWITCH is, so it saves me a lot of trouble. But just to remind you at a higher level, it's a software communication platform that we've been working on since really 2005. You know, this is the 14th ClueCon, and we've always had some kind of milestone with FreeSWITCH every year. So it's a lot of kind of like our annual kickoff for different things we do in the development cycle. And this being the 14th year is a pretty big milestone for us. So also, obviously, next year is our 15th anniversary, so we encourage you all to come back. We'll be here in the same hotel again, so you know, circle the dates. We'll be in August then. But you know, back when we started doing this, it took us a while, you know, to realize what we were doing. We started writing software because we knew what we wanted. But there's a lot more to doing a software project than just writing code, which takes a long time to figure out, especially if you're kind of new at it. Like if you maybe had a job your entire career of doing software development, you kind of show up into an organization and you know, kind of there's a process and stuff. But us being kind of pioneers at things that didn't even exist yet, we had a little bit of a learning curve as we went through these things. So our real goal initially was to make developers have more ability to manipulate telecom, and that's kind of our mission from day one. And we've been working on that for a really long time. When we started out, we had 3 developers alone in an IRC channel. You know, we got a couple people kind of eating some popcorn, watching, thinking that we were crazy. You know, that was always fun. A couple trolls. That's IRC, you know. And we started just working on our first goals, which was to support stuff that was popular at the time, which was SIP and TDM. This is basically where our intersection with the WebRTC began, because Google, you know, didn't know it yet, but they're working on Jingle, and they were kind of, this is the precipice to WebRTC being developed. So at the time, this was a complete volunteer effort between these 3 guys, including myself. And we were driven by sheer willpower and a little craziness, you know, just trying to make sense of a bunch of evolving technology that was going on in the world. It took us a while, but we finally, after 2 years, were able to do a release. It took a whole bunch of work. But we were working with Barracuda Networks at the time to build a PBX system for them, which was really put some strength down into FreeSWITCH code. So there's a time when we started releasing our 1.0 for the first time, and it was an exciting time because there's a lot of people doing early adoption, but everyone else was kind of a little more cautious, so they wanted to see a version before they would use it. And that milestone really kind of caused our community to explode during those years. And as far as development, you know, just between when we started the project and when we got to the first release, we had already made almost 200,000 lines of code that were generated by our team. And we went up to 250,000 by the time we had the first release out the door. So it was a lot of work, a lot of daily issues. But then we persisted. You know, we wanted to get past that, you know, the 1.0. Having a 0 at the end of your version is always something you want to get rid of as soon as you can. But it took us a pretty long time. But, you know, we worked on it, doing lots of different community bug tracking stuff and paying attention to what was going on. Like SIP was evolving, carriers were actually starting to use it, even the big ones. But we started to really work on a performance and scalability of mostly what we focused on at the time are audio calls, because that's what, you know, everyone was doing. You know, there's lots. They're trying to take these, you know, proprietary phone systems that cost millions of dollars, and put them in the hands of others so that they can start businesses. And that's kind of our goal with you guys as a community, is to produce, you know, a livelihood for everyone. So, you know, that worked out pretty well for the community size. And we had a very classic release of 1.2 that lasted a really long time. And throughout that process, we amassed up to almost 500,000 lines of code, which is kind of a stride that we're still maintaining. So we're going to move on to the WebRTC years. Another 2 years later, we're the Google Jingle stuff that's been around for a while. They finally realized that the engine inside might be a cool thing, but using Jabber as signaling isn't such a great idea. So they scrapped the signaling protocol, took the media engine, open sourced it, paid $50 million to acquire that, and put it out there. So now you start seeing all the browsers supporting things like audio and video. So as the development process was going, the first things to come were the audio features, and us being focused heavily on audio. That was the first thing that we got working. And we introduced our Verto protocol, which to replace the absence of signaling in WebRTC, the whole idea is that everyone makes their own signaling. So we did that. We made a WebSocket-based signaling protocol. And we made Opus possible with stereo, which is a thing that we kind of had plumbing for, but we never really did it because there were no clients that can support stereo VoIP. So that was a pretty big moment for us when we were able to put those things together and dig out some of those functionalities that we plumbed for but really didn't implement. And our number of lines of code per release started to slow down a little because we're in this 500,000 category. But it still is 2 years of solid effort working on getting everything finished. So now we go to 2015, where WebRTC starts to be mainstream, and you're looking at the idea of video actually being a plausible use case for communication, where it was sort of, everybody knew you could do video. There was video phones in the 70s, but it was always kind of like, that doesn't work enough to use globally, and we can't actually make anything out of this because there's not enough bandwidth in the world, but today our bandwidth has been going up on a 45-degree angle. My house just announced they're about to have gigabit internet come into my house. I would have killed for that when I used to use a 28.8 modem to write code, but now, at the time, what we had was the benefit of the fact that we always were working with some company, and the company would pay our core development team to actually do work. And that helped the project. And it kept us, any revenue the project brought in, we were able to take that and just use it to keep that infrastructure going. So once we got into this stage of doing video, it took a large amount of work. We're working on it for 7 here. You put a lot of contribution into trying to figure out how to make the codecs work. Just crazy amounts of testing. The client is as new as the server. The browser keeps changing its mind every week, what the spec is, and typical things you come to know when you're doing this kind of work. But we started needing to increase our team size to keep up with the community. So around this time is when we really first started trying to reach out to expand our team. And the V16 has done a great job of remaining stable and being a popular choice for users. It's a complete platform, and it's been available for these many years. So the next idea was 1.8, right? So with the advent of all these other things we've been working on for so long, we decided we really just need to clean up what we have and make it stronger. There's so many, production use cases and things that they require hardening. So we put a lot of work into, trying to take the things we already had, and we added a few new things. We had our book put out. There's a FreeSWITCH 1.8 book out. Was Giovanni in the audience? You should all say hi to him if you see him. He put an invaluable amount of effort into writing the book with me, and it was like our 6th book that we had put out. We started noticing we have this large customer base, and some were our commercial customers, and some of them are big users that put attention towards the project. And we focused on stuff like trying to really take something that wasn't possible before, like 1080p audio and video, stereo quality audio, and TV quality video coming off of a video conference, so that you could use a video and audio together in ways that you're used to just watching like a Netflix stream or something. Instead, you could actually have bi-directional communication. So we started looking at stats around here, and we're noticing that we have 30,000 downloads a month now, and we have 1 million different IPs who are coming and pulling a new version of the code from FreeSWITCH every single month. And in retrospect, we're at 11,000 JIRAs. That's pretty much like 3 JIRAs a day for an entire 10-year period. So we're looking around and like we're very up to our knees and necks really in different things to work on. And this 1.8, is a big question. Is when is 1.8 even going to be ready? Because I heard about this a lot, but like, where is it? Are we there yet? And we've got to get it done sometime, right? Well, it's here today, everyone. 1.8 was released. We stayed up all night making sure, and it's out there in the repos, and you'll be able to pull it and start working on it. And that's going to cause some good and bad problems for us because it's a lot of work to deal with when a brand new release coming out. So put that together with all the kinds of good and bad problems here. Our infrastructure is buckling. We noticed that we have, we're putting all this effort into putting our development together. And really one of the best ways that we've supported the project is by finding some kind of benefactor who will, have some major goal that they'll influence us and we'll work together with them. But bouncing around between corporate sponsors is risky. It's really disruptive to the process of trying to keep our software moving in the direction we want. And this community, all of you guys here together, we're on a mission to disrupt and modernize communication. So all of you have some kind of company one way or other. You might not all use FreeSWITCH, but you use one of our supporting fellow community projects. And together we kind of have this collective goal to bring a new decentralized telecom, into light. So the real question after this all is, with 10 years of work and all the different things that we've done to build this stable platform, like now what are we going to do? Because we need another 10 years, So how are we going to solve that problem to scale and figure out how we can go beyond the handful of people that we have? What we did was we started a company. That company is called SignalWire. Thank you. So to explain more what it is, SignalWire is our take on a CPaaS platform. And if you guys know us at all, the way we decide to do things aren't always the way everyone does. We like to do things the way that we think makes sense. We look at the market and we see CPaaS and it's kind of a buzzword. We probably don't want to say that word many more times. We'll say it today because, we're just telling you about this for the first time. We want to kind of like put an end to this kind of buzzword bingo types of stuff. So what we're looking to do is take a lot of the complexity and stuff that goes into FreeSWITCH and make it available in a cloud socket type interface that's suitable for any environment and any kind of programmer to be able to interface with. And what we did was taking the things we've already done in FreeSWITCH so far and the services we have, we've bundled together, the best parts of the FreeSWITCH team that we've had, and this new goal to move into another era where we can reach to a further audience and speed up the development and functionality we bring to everyone. So one of our really big goals is to do that and bring real-time communication to the mainstream. You guys are all quite familiar with the entire thing, so our next goal is there's a wider audience that would love to benefit from the different functionalities that we've all worked on together. So the next question would be, how does it impact the FreeSWITCH you know and love already? So basically, SignalWire has acquired FreeSWITCH Solutions, which is the parent company of this conference, and a bunch of other resources that you might have gotten, to help your different projects or development along the way. to build one happy family together, and what we work on is focusing, targeted development with engineering resources that we can employ and support to build a stronger company as a whole, so that we can bring together everybody into a cohesive environment to focus on things that are, unfurling day by day. Just like the last 10 years, we never know what's going to happen next and the different technologies we have to support. And it's a lot of, there's really a big delay to get those development into the hands of users, and we want to speed that process up so that not everyone has to figure out how to build C code or hack on that code. Some of you like doing that, so one of our other goals is to be able to do either of those things. So we have a pretty good balance in mind for doing things like that, and that really kind of helps us, keep the community alive. So we want to talk about what's ready now. So we have a few things that are just coming around the pipe, and I don't want to spoil everybody else's presentations, because you'll hear a little bit more like Evan later. He has a demonstration. There's also a SignalWire challenge going on right now where you can talk. Most of the engineering team is here. We're all about being a mobile engineering team, so we can pretty much work wherever we go, including here. So everyone's around, and there's lots more information we're going to say over the next couple days. But I'm going to do some overview here and my vision for it. What we have is we're reimagining the way that an API is communicated with. There's a lot of REST out there, and that's kind of a popular thing, and it's simple and easy, and anyone can figure it out. And we want to support things like that for anyone that needs it for simple things. But our really big goal is to take some of the other things that we've developed, throughout our years of doing the FreeSWITCH project, and make those even simpler and more secure for everyone to be able to access. So one of our goals is to take basically a WebSocket interface and make that your lifeline to anything that you want to do. And the goal is really to take things that you can normally have to spend a whole lot of time figuring out, such as how to create a database system to control all the users and all the different behaviors that will happen, and what'll, the high level PBX or call center type building blocks, make those available as API calls that you can host inside of our cloud, as well as do traditional things like generating phone calls or manipulating clients and stuff that you have registered. So we bundle that together with the professional services that we've always done. For a lot of people want to be able to take their own software and terminate stuff into it. So what we have right now is this, what we're calling LAML, which is our backward compatible interface. And that's, works with legacy name brand APIs such as Twilio. Say you have an app already and you want to play around with our platform, we can support that as a kind of bridge gap to our better and modern APIs. So you get your feet wet with that. And we have the very first betas of our API, which our goal is to continue to add things to as fast and often as we can. And for people that like using FreeSWITCH professionally, there's a lot of large corporate companies that find FreeSWITCH useful as part of their company. They would choose to use a commercial, fully supported engineering branch, which is early access to immediate fixes and stuff that they need, and that gives us a little time to figure out how to trickle things into the open source release. So moving on from that, it's like, what are we going to do soon? Well, like I was saying, we want to have a lot of new features and functions coming out as often as possible, adding new functionality to a familiar interface, basically. If you understand WebSockets and JSON, you can use our service. And we're going to bundle that together with mobile SDP, mobile WebRTC and SDKs or an OEM client that allow you to, build branded apps and connect into the platform and use all the voice control services and connect it to any kind of backend stuff that you want and bring that in as part of your offering. Then we have a series of open source client libraries and tools that we're building out now in popular languages. And really for FreeSWITCH users out there, we have, we know that sometimes you might want to do something very specific. So we're working with deep integration into FreeSWITCH by, we'll be releasing a module that'll interface with SignalWire that'll provision and auto-create a bunch of stuff so you can deploy calls into a FreeSWITCH instance if you want as one of those tasks as the calls are coming through. So that way it gives you an opportunity to manage and integrate with like legacy interfaces like the PSTN still with existing FreeSWITCH, so you can run your, if you like to tinker with it like me. So I'm going to go over our mission in this company is very specific. We want to take the stuff that we like to do, which is our own take on things, and make it our own, and bring that innovation to the communication space. And that's continued. That's not a new mission. We've been doing that already. We've been pretty successful at it so far with what we've built. And we see that there's a wider audience and a bigger task and goal to go after. So we're going to keep carrying that forward. And we want to give you guys a competitive edge in the market. By understanding our technology and using it, we hope that it helps you to get your products and services out the door and to find a way to innovate on your own. Because a lot of people have great ideas and we want to spread that around. So really we want to just take these things that we can do, because most people don't even know all the features in FreeSWITCH because there's so many of them. Our development is fueled by all these different things that millions of people ask for, and we have this endless amounts of configuration choices and code paths, and even if we try and list them all, we sometimes even forget what our own feature set is, and we have to go in there and like read our own code because it's 10 years old. Like, oh, I was going to go write this today, but it's already there. And then we run into those things. So taking this technology and making it easier and having more access to things is just really great, because like anything else you've ever used before, once a web browser itself, right? I don't know how many of you used the internet when there weren't web browsers yet, like I did, but the first time you could use that instead of going and typing commands in order to download files and stuff, it seemed like insane innovation. Like, what? I just click stuff? And we want to continue that in the communication world. So, and it's our nature, just to bowl in a china cabinet, we want to be disruptive, because otherwise things get boring. And if we don't shake stuff up, what's the point? And we've been doing this. I think we've done a pretty good job with our first round of releases of FreeSWITCH and what it kind of did for the kind of incumbent old school technology and telecom that was out of everybody's hands, which I think hopefully has now been part of a wider access than just these big, large companies that, there's very few of them that could even produce the stuff you needed. So just to overview, our FreeSWITCH ecosystem is broken into very bifurcated pieces. We have the open source branch, which is what we've always had, which is all of our community distributed code in our planned releases, like 1.8 today, and low-level development environment for C and C programmers. It's a great way. You download the source code, you can prototype and build, and we always want to encourage that, and that's really like what got us here. So we have that, and then we have the SignalWire Enterprise, which is if you are a company who's looking to build a crazy, huge commercial venture, and you want to make sure that you have like engineering resources to have someone helping you when your problems are coming up, and you don't want to have to figure it all out yourself, and you want to get the best architecture advice you can and make sure that everything is working well, then we have SignalWire Enterprise. And then finally, we have our newest SignalWire Cloud, which is cloud hosting and auto-scaling infrastructure that we were talking about here today. So together, those are kind of like the three things that we're going to focus on in the near future, and I think that there'll be a really good benefit from it. All the effort that we've done in the past, building working for other companies and building stuff always improved FreeSWITCH. And so now SignalWire is going to help by being that another company, you know, that's really driven by the commercial needs of the wider audience and creating stability and functionality into our open source code. So as far as the FreeSWITCH community, I kind of told you about Fred in the beginning, and he does some great stuff every week. We have also a bunch of different chat rooms and forums. A lot of the community helps each other out. We also do a lot, you know, random answer questions when we know we see it. We have mailing lists. We're thinking about actually going into the new era of web-based forums, which we've resisted for a really long time. But you know, like, people are starting to get a little sick of, you know, joining IRC to ask questions. So we're working on that. It just depends on what the rest of the guys want to do. So, anyone can help out by any of these ways here. You can test out the stuff and give us some feedback. Come to ClueCon Weekly, where we have, you can be a host on ClueCon Weekly sometime if you want to come and talk. Similar to ClueCon, the real ClueCon, only it's once a week and gives you an opportunity to just kind of talk about what you're doing. There's no real rules for it. You just kind of say you want to do it. And then just talk to us. If you see us somewhere, most of our email and phone number is plastered over every email we send, and we've always liked to stay in touch and talk to everyone because that's kind of the only reason we bother with this stuff. So as I draw to a close, I just wanted to have you guys meet the team of who we've got working so far with us. So all you guys who are out there who work for us at SignalWire, just want to come up and say hi now. Doing a startup's not easy, so give these guys a hand. They made a lot of sacrifices to come up and you know, take the risk to work on technology as it's evolving.
I didn't know we had that many people. Get a lot more.
I think you'll notice a lot of familiar faces and some new ones, and we're growing. We're working on it. I want you guys to stay tuned and involved, and you know, try out our beta test that's going on this week by doing the SignalWire challenge, and you can win prizes. We have an Xbox and a PS4 and a tablet to give away. So thank you guys, and I hope I'll see you again.